كلية الفقه الحنفي تقدم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So inshallah today we will be going on to our new chapter after having done in detail in regards to the shares that the Dhawil Furud, the fixed Quranic shareholders will receive. Now we will move on to a concept when we are dividing in amongst all of the heirs that are there. What if we end up giving out more shares than we had divisor, meaning the amount that we wanted to actually divide the property into, you ended up giving more because there's more fractions given out. Because that can happen when you add up fractions, the fractions can become more than a whole number. I'm sure people remember that kind of a concept. For those who may be even struggling with maths, will remember that when you have fractions, you can end up giving more fractions than a full number, a whole number. So you had, for example, you gave somebody a half, then you gave somebody, another person, another half, and you ended up giving somebody another quarter. So you already got half and half, which is a full number, and you ended up giving more quarter, more than a full whole. So you got more than a whole number. What happens in that case when there are such heirs that are inheriting? So this is a concept in the mirath, in the inheritance, which is called awl, where you are increasing the divisor. So when you're increasing the divisor, here there is a set procedure to follow. It's a very easy concept, very easy way to, if you follow the rules, it's a very, very easy to what to do. So if you stick to the rules, inshallah, these things won't become complicated. Stick to the procedure. I get that some people like to skip certain things because their brains already work in a mathematical way. That's fine. But then explaining it to somebody else will not be very easy to do. If you have a procedure like we're showing you here, then explaining it to somebody else becomes very easy, because not everybody's good with fractions, especially when they see fractions, they get really scared. So some people have traumatic experiences from times when they maybe have been studying mathematics and things, not really good fond memories for some people. So nevertheless, understanding the procedure that we follow here, though some people may find it a little bit, maybe slow, maybe somewhat to a degree, but it's important to follow some sort of procedure. So we will do this concept of awl today. I'll explain what this is all about. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now we move on to our next chapter, which is return to fixed Quranic shareholders, which we called Rad bi Dhawil Furud an-Nasabi. So we've talked about this briefly, if you remember, in the list of categories that we had to distribute amongst. So this Rad came up there, this return to fixed Quranic shareholders. Now comes the detail of how that actually is distributed. So if we see here, the return, meaning Rad, is the opposite of increase, awl, which we've done previously, where we increase divisor. Here in Rad, it's in essence decreasing the divisor. So in that, the divisor decreases. This occurs when there remains some estate after distribution of the shares to the fixed Quranic shareholders. So you've given out all the shares to the fixed Quranic shareholders, and there now remains still some more. What do you do in that case? So in such cases, since there are no other recipients, there are no other heirs to receive the remaining share, the estate returns to the original shareholders, to these shareholders that are there right now, to these heirs that are currently there, who then receive the remaining estate in proportion to their shares. The only exception is the spouse, who does not receive a second portion, meaning they don't receive a second distribution when we are distributing like this. So this is why it's a return to fixed Quranic shareholders, meaning the ones that are by way of lineage only. related through lineage. So the prerequisite to determining if Rad is applicable is to first calculate the shares according to the normal method, as we've been doing all along. If there are shares left over, then the corresponding rules of Rad should be applied. So now we'll understand this a bit more in detail. So there are 4 scenarios in which Rad can take place, each with its own rule. So it's number 1 to 3 is very easy, and inshallah I will explain this in a very nice way, in its most simplest of way, inshallah. So the first one is where the first possibility of a scenario is where there is no spouse in the scenario, and there is only one type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. So there's only one type of shareholder. There may be more shareholders, but only one type. So there's, for example, daughters, but there are obviously multiple daughters. So, but there's only one type here because only daughters there. There's nobody else there of fixed Quranic shareholders. So there's no spouse, remembering no spouse, and one type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. Number 2 is where there is no spouse, but there are more than one type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. Number 3 is where there is a spouse, and there is only one other type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. And number 4, obviously, where there is a spouse, and there is more than one type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. So there's only 4 logical possibilities here. Each one has a separate rule. So this is why it's important to remember it in this order. So let's do rule number 1. So rule for scenario number 1, where no spouse, remember there's no spouse and only one type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. So what happens in this case? You simply make the divisor the number of people. So from how many number of people there are, you make the divisor from that. It's very simple. So, but first remembering you have to do the division like you normally would do. So let's do example. The deceased has left behind 2 daughters. So only 2 daughters there. So only 2 daughters. There's no other heir. So what do? We give the daughters their share. There's 2 of them, so 2/3 they get. We would make the divisor from the denominator. There's only 1 fraction, so we make it out of 3. And we see that there are 2/3 of 3 is 2. It's fairly obvious. I'm sure everyone gets it. The point is understood that here we have only given 2 shares. The point is we've only given 2 shares and there is still 1 left over. So what do we do with that one? We have to redistribute that amongst the 2 daughters, the 2 daughters here. So what we do, rather than do it this complicated way, we simply cross out the divisor and the number of daughters there are here. So we see the number of daughters are 2 here. Okay, so where there's number of daughters are 2, we simply make the divisor out of 2. So we write Rad equals 2. So we do a Rad of 2. So instead of distributing the property into 3 parts, wherever the money left over or the estate was, we will distribute the property, we will divide the property into 2 parts now. In turn, we have made each daughter's share proportionately bigger. So we didn't have to mess around with anything else. We will simply keep it. The daughters are receiving 2 together, so they'll receive 1 each. And that's as simple as that. Very simple rule. Okay, that's when there is only one fixed Quranic shareholder, one type of fixed Quranic shareholder alive. Obviously, if there was only 1 daughter, then you'll simply make it out of 1 and just give her the entire pot. So let's just do some fairly easy questions quickly before we move on to number 2. So divide the estate when there is, for example, 3 daughters. So obviously everyone knows it'll be 2/3. You make it out of 3 again. All right. And the 2/3 of 3 would be 2. So we got 1 left over again. Same concept. We got 1 left over. So we cross out this 3 and we're going to have to make it out of number of individuals. So here, number of individuals, granddaughters. The granddaughters, I'm afraid, is 3. Now, here, incidentally, the divisor was already 3 before, but that doesn't matter. The point is that it's a Rad of 3. And we'll simply give, we'll give 1 to each person. 1 to each person, and we will divide the property into 3 parts. Each person gets 1. The other things are ignored. The 2/3, all of that is just ignored. We simply make it out of number of individuals. We give 1 each to them and it's done. So it's very simple like this. So let's do another example where you've got 4 uterine siblings. If there's 4 uterine siblings, what happens here? Revealing the answer is fairly easy. Uterine siblings is more than 1 gets 1/3. So we'd make it out 3 again. 1/3 of 3 is 1. We've still got 2 left over, which we haven't given out. So we make the scenario and we cross out the 3, the original divisor, and we see that there are 4 uterine siblings. So we do rad of 4 and we'll divide the property up into 4 parts, everyone receiving 1 each. It's fairly easy. So this is rule number 1 for everybody. Now, rule for number 2, scenario number 2. So there are no spouse again, but there are more than 1 fixed Quranic shareholder alive. So what do we do? Here we make the divisor the sum of the distributed shares. So whatever the distributed shares are, the total that equal, you make the divisor into that. You cross out the old divisor, you make the new divisor the sum. So let's do example. Deceased is left behind here. We've got a mother, daughter, granddaughter. What happens in this case? At least do the fractions and work out up to where you can work out. Revealing the answer, the mother, because there's a daughter there, gets 1/6. Daughter gets 1/2, there's only 1. Granddaughter gets 1/6 because there's only 1 daughter. So now we see there is 1/6, 2 1/6 from group 2, 1/2 from group 1. So we use that denominator for the half. We'd use the 2 multiplied by 3 equals 6. That gives us our divisor as 6. 1/6, the mother gets 1/6 of 6, which is 1. Daughter gets half of that, which is 3. Granddaughter gets 1/6 of that, which is 1. You add it up. 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So your total is 5. You've got 1 left over. So here you know that this is a rad mas'ala, where you have to now return that 1 share proportionately to the other heirs. So 1/6 of that 1 goes to the mother, 1/2 of that 1 goes to the daughter, 1/6 of the goes to the granddaughter. There'll still be something left over, then you have to distribute that as well. I'm sure you get the gist of it. The point of it is understood. So instead of doing all of that, right, you can simply just cross out the 6, which was the original divisor, and make the new divisor now the rad to 5, the total that was the sum of the shares that were given out. Because once you've made the distribution out of 5 and you've given out 5, it's fine. And proportionately, automatically, it will become bigger, right? Everyone's share would have become bigger proportionately as well. So this is the rule, very easy rule. You make the divisor, the new divisor, the sum of the shares given out. So you work it out normally and you just divide it. So let's do some questions. If there is a mother, agnate sister, and a uterine brother, what happens in this case? Revealing the answer, the mother, because there are 2 siblings, gets a 1/6. The agnate sister, because there's nobody else to block or anything, gets a 1/2. The uterine brother gets a 1/6 again because there's only 1 of him, nobody to block him. So you got a 1/2, 1/6 and 1/6. So what you do, you use the 1/2, use the divisor of the agnate sister, the 2. You multiply it by 3, gives you a divisor of 6. So you give out mother 1/6 is 1, agnate sister gets 3, and the uterine brother gets 1. You add it up, equals 5. You've got less, you've given out less, you've got 1 left over. So you simply cross out the 6, make it rad of 5, and that's your answer. Very easy and simple. Moving on to our next scenario, we have here a husband, 2 daughters, agnate sister, paternal grandmother, and a paternal grandfather. What happens in this scenario? Now, revealing the answer, Husband, because there's daughters there, receive a quarter. 2 daughters receive 2/3. The agnate sister, because of the grandfather, becomes mahjub, doesn't receive anything, becomes blocked. The paternal grandmother, she, because of, she gets 1/6 anyway. There's no mother or anybody to block her, or even a father. The paternal grandfather, because there's daughters there, gets 1/6 plus his agnatic sharehold. So now we see that there is 1/6, 1/6, 2/3, and they are all from group 2. 1/4, which is group 1. So we use the quarter, the 4 denominator, multiply it by 3, gives us our 12 as divisor. Then to 1/4 of 12 we give to the husband, which is 3. Then 2/3 to the daughters, which is 8. The agnate sister gets nothing. The paternal grandmother, she gets 1/6, so she gets her 2. The grandfather so far will get his 2 as well. We'll see if there's anything left to give to him. So we do 8 plus the 3, which is 11, plus the grandmother's share, which is 13, plus the grandfather's 2, which is 15. So our total is 15, already above. We can't give anything further to the grandfather for his agnatic sharehold. We've got nothing left. And then we have to change the divisor, cross it out, change it to 15, awl. So this is the answer to this one. Next question. If there is a husband, 2 full sisters, what happens in this scenario? Now, revealing the answer, husband gets a half because there's no children, and the 2 full sisters receive 2/3. Sorry, the 3 came up earlier. Now, we see that, ignore the 3 that's there, we'll come to it obviously. So there's a group 1 half, and there's 2/3 group 2. So we just use that 2, a half, the 2 at the bottom of the half, we use the denominator there, multiply by 3, gives us 6 as our divisor. So half of the 6 is 3 for a husband, and 2/3 of the 6 is 4. We add the 4 plus 3 equals 7 as our total. We've already given out more, so we cross out the divisor, make awl of 7, and that's our answer. Then we have next question. 2 wives, 2 full sisters, uterine sister, and a grandmother. What happens in this scenario? Revealing the answer, the 2 wives, because there are no children, receives a quarter. 2 full sisters receive 2/3. The uterine sister, because there's no one to block her, receives a 1/6. And the grandmother receives her 1/6 too. Now we see there is 1/6, 1/6, and 2/3, which are group 2, and there's a quarter, which is group 1. So we use the 4 at the bottom of the divisor there, the denominator there for the wife's share. We use the 4 multiplied by 3, gives us 12 as our divisor. Quarter of 12 is 3. 2/3 of 12 is 8. 1/6 is 2, and another 1/6 is 2. We add it all up, and it adds up to 15 again. So it's an awl of 15. And here, what we'll do is we'll also give it out 2/3 to the wife. Sorry, 2 wives getting 3 shares, so a half each. 2 full sisters, we're getting 8 shares, so there's 4 each there. Next question. We have wife, mother, full sister. What happens in this scenario? Now, to reveal the answer, wife receives a quarter, there's no children. Mother gets 1/3 because there's no children or 2 siblings, there's only 1 sibling here. And the full sister gets her half. So the divisor, we see there's group 1 is quarter and half is group 1, and the third, mother's share, the third is group 2. So we ignore the third, we use the bigger denominator, the quarter. We use the 4 to multiply by 3, gives us 12 as our divisor. We give the wife quarter of 12, which is 3. Mother gets a third of 12, which is 4. And full sisters get a half of 12, which is 6. So add it all up. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So our total is 13, already bigger than the divisor. Cross out the divisor, awl of 13. So this is the answer for this. Next question. Husband, mother, agnate sister, uterine brother, and 3 nephews. What happens in this case? Nephews meaning sons, brothers' sons. Revealing the answer, the husband, because there's no children, receives a half. Mother, because there are 2 siblings, there's an agnate sister and a uterine brother. So the mother will get a 1/6. The agnate sister will get a half. The uterine brother will get 1/6. And the nephews will become the asaba, the agnatic shareholders. So we see there's 2 1/6 and 2 halves. So we use the group 1, the number 2, multiplied by 3, we get 6 as our divisor. Husband gets half of it, which is 3. Mother gets 1/6 of it, which is 1. Agnate sister gets half of it again, which is 3. The uterine brother gets 1. So we add that up first. So we 3, 4 plus the 3, 7 plus the 1, which is 8. So there's nothing left to give to the nephews. So the total is 8. So we have to cross out the 6 and make it awl of 8. Next question. Mother, 4 full sisters, 2 agnate sisters, and 2 uterine siblings. What happens in this scenario? Revealing the answer, mother gets her 1/6 because there are more than 2 siblings. There's so many siblings here. The 4 full sisters will receive 2/3. The 2 agnate sisters, because there are 2 sisters full sisters who have already received the 2/3 share, the 2 agnate sisters cannot receive anything. They're blocked. But the 2 uterine siblings, they'll receive the 1/3. So here we see all of them are group 2. So we use the biggest denominator, which is 6, and we make that a divisor. So mother gets 1/6 of that, which is 1. The 4 full sisters will receive 2/3 of it, which is 4. Obviously they're going to get 1 each. The agnate sisters receive nothing, and the uterine siblings will receive 1/3 out of 6, which is 2. And there's 2 of them, so they'll receive 1 each. So we add it all up. 4 plus the mother's share, 1, which is 5, plus the 2 from the uterine siblings, which is 7. So there's a 7 in total here, so awl of 7. And that's what should have been your answer. Next question. Husband, daughter, granddaughter, full sister, and mother. What happens in this scenario? Revealing the answer, husband gets a quarter because there's a daughter there. The daughter gets a half. Granddaughter gets 1/6 with the daughter. The full sister will become the asaba because of ij'alul akhawat ma'al banati asaba. And the mother gets her 1/6 because there's daughters there. So we see 1/6, 1/6, 2 1/6 from group 2. We ignore them. and you got a half and a quarter. So we use the bigger denominator, the 4, multiplied by 3. We get 12 as our divisor. Now, a quarter of 12, 3, a half of 12 is 6, 1/6 of 12 is 2, full sisters get nothing, and the mother 1/6 of 12, which is 2. We add it all up. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 2 is 13. So our total is 13. We've got awl of 13 happening here. Now, moving on to the next questions. Scenarios: mother, 4 full sisters, 2 uterine sisters, and 2 uterine brothers. What happens in this case? Now, to reveal the answer, mother receives a 1/6 because there's siblings, more than 2 and more. 2 full sisters get 2/3. The uterine sisters and the uterine brothers together get 1/3. Remember, the reason I've written this one in this way, previously we wrote 2 uterine siblings, because just to show that there's also a way of writing it out. If there was the 2 uterine sisters and 2 uterine brothers were written separately, then you would have to write like this, write 1/3 in the middle of both of them. So you don't end up writing 1/3 underneath each one, because sometimes people write 1/3, 1/3. Don't consider they're giving each one of them 1/3, you're giving double the shares. So yeah, 1/3 is shared between the 2 of them, right? Between the 4 of them, as I will say. So you see it as 1/3, 2/3, and 1/6, all from group 2. So we just use the bigger denominator, the 6, to make the divisor. Mother gets 1/6, which is 1. The full sisters, 2/3 of that get 4. And the siblings, the uterine siblings here, get 1/3 of that, which is, well, firstly, 4 full sisters get 1 each, yeah, and the uterine siblings, the 1/3 of that, which is 2. So we total that up. They're going to get 0.5 each. Here, to remember, there's 4 uterine siblings, 2 uterine brothers and 2 uterine sisters, receiving, 4 of them receiving 2 shares, so you get half each. Remembering here that there is no لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ, where the brothers are not getting double the share of their counterpart sisters. They're equal here. So total here, we added it up and it becomes 7. So 4 plus 2 is 6, plus that 1 is 7. So we have a awl here of 7, and that's our answer for this one. Next question: wife, full sister, agnate sister, paternal grandmother, and 2 paternal uncles. What happens in this scenario? Revealing the answer, the wife receives a quarter because there's no children. Full sisters get they get a half. Well, full sister, there's only one of her. And an agnate sister now gets the 1/6. So she will get 1/6 because of the one sister being there. The paternal grandmother gets her 1/6 share, and the paternal uncles will receive asaba, agnatic shareholders. So we see there is 1/6, 1/6, but there's also a half and a quarter from group 1. So we use the quarter, the denominator, 4, multiplied by 3, we get divisor of 12. A quarter of 12 is 3, half of 12 is 6, 1/6 of 12 is 2, and another 1/6 of 12, which is 2. We add that up first to see if there's anything left to give to paternal uncle. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 2 more is 13. We're already above the 12 divisor. We can't give anything to the uncle now. So total is 13. And we cross out the 12, awl of 13. So this is the answer here. Hopefully you're getting the concept here. What we're doing is we're giving the fixed Quranic shareholders their shares. Their, obviously, fractions are important to give to them the right amounts. So we will give them before we give to the agnatic shareholder, who gets nothing because there's nothing left to give to them. Some more questions. What happens in this scenario? Husband, 2 full sisters, uterine sister, and uterine brother. Revealing the answer, the husband gets a half because there's no children. 2 full sisters get 2/3 because there's 2 of them. Uterine sister, should I say, and a uterine brother together, because there's two of them, will receive 1/3. So we see there is 1/3 and 2/3 from group 2, but there's also a half from group 1. So we use the 2 denominator of that half, multiply it by 3 gives our divisor as 6. Husband gets half of the 6, which is 3. Two full sisters get 2/3 of that 6, which is 4. And the uterine siblings get 1/3 of that 6, which is 2. So we add it all up. 4 plus the 2, 6 plus the 3 is 9. Before we move on to that, in fact, we're saying that there's 2 shares to give to the uterine sister and uterine brother, so we give 1 each out to them. The total was 9, as we said. So we cross out the 6 and we say owl of 9 this time. So husbands, full sisters, and uterine siblings shares have been given out. Next question. If we have a husband, full sister, agnate sister, mother, and paternal grandfather, what happens in this scenario? Husband receives his half, full sister, because there's no children, half for the full sister as well, agnate sister, because there is the grandfather there. There's not because of the grandfather, and also because of the full sisters. No, it's because of the grandfather, because of the grandfather, she will be blocked. The mother, because there is 2 siblings, the agnate sister as well as the full sister. Though the agnate sister is blocked, she will still decrease the share of the mother, so the mother will get 1/6 now, and the paternal grandfather will become the agnatic shareholder. So we can see there's 1/6 from group 2 and there's half and half from group 1. So we just use the 2 from the half denominator, times it by 3 gives us 6 as our divisor. Husband gets half of the 6, which is 3. Full sister gets half again, which is 3. Agnate sister gets nothing. Mother gets 1/6 of the 6, which is 1. And the paternal grandfather, we see if there's anything left over. We can clearly see the husbands and full sisters, 3, 6, they're already, mother gets 1, that's 7, so we got nothing to give to the grandfather, and total is 7. Owl of 7, and that's our answer for this one. Next question, a bit longer as well. Wife, 5 full sisters, maternal grandmother, paternal grandmother, and a paternal grandfather. What happens in this scenario? Revealing the answer, the wife, because there's no children, gets 1/4. 5 full sisters get their 2/3 share. Maternal grandmother and the paternal grandmother, because they both generation is same, so they receive 1/6 shared between them. And the paternal grandfather was asaba, not receiving anything. We've already got this stage all the way. So yeah, this is the answer in essence. So we have the 12 as our divisor because we use the 4. Multiplied the 4 of the wife, the denominator multiplied by 3, we get the 12. We add it all up, 8 plus the 2 is 10, plus the 3 is 13. So all of 13, we got nothing left to give to the grandfather. We would have if we did have anything left over. The next question, we have wife, 3 full sisters, agnate sister, paternal grandmother, and a paternal grandfather. What happens in this scenario? Now, to reveal the answer, the wife, because there's no children, receives 1/4. 3 full sisters, because there's 2 or more, get 2/3. Agnate sister, because there's already 2 full sisters, as well as the grandfather there, gets nothing, gets blocked. The paternal grandmother gets 1/6, and the paternal grandfather gets the asaba, agnatic shareholder. So we see there's 1/6, 2/3 from group 2. There's 1/4 from group 1. So we use the 4 divisor, multiply it by 3, we get 12. So 1/4 of 12 is 3. 2/3 of 12 is 8. Agnate sisters get nothing. 1/6 of 12 is 2. So we add it all up. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. We got nothing left to give to the grandfather. Our total was 13. Owl of 13. just going to finish this one off. So yeah, I hope everyone's getting the point of these questions. The more questions you do, the more you will get the hang of this. Like I've previously said, just ample practice. Ample practice will give you a lot of understanding of these scenarios. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, today we have finished our chapter of Aul. We've understood in regards to what happens in scenarios where we need to increase the divisor. So that was the whole concept here, in increasing the divisor, remembering that in essence the share that each person will get proportionately from each person will decrease. That's not too important. The main thing is to understand that we've increased the divisor. So let me show you a few more examples, a few more review questions quickly. So we have 3 wives, 4 full sisters, 2 uterine brothers, and a mother. What happens in this scenario? Revealing the answer, the 3 wives will, because there are no children, get quarter shared between them. 4 full sisters get 2/3. 2 uterine brothers get 1/3. The mother gets 1/6 because there are more than 2 siblings. So we see there is 1/6, 1/3, and 2/3, which is on group 2, but there's also a quarter, which is group 1. So we use the 4 denominator, multiply it by 3, get 12 as our divisor. And a quarter of that 12 is 3, 2/3 of the 12. So I mean, there's 3 wives that will get 1 each. 2/3 of the 12, 8, and there's 4 of them, so they receive 2 each. 2 uterine brothers get 1/3, which is 4. 1/3 of 12 is 4, and there's 2 of them, so they get 2 each. And a mother gets 1/6 of the 12, which is 2. We add it all up. So we start with the 8, bigger number, easy to work with. 8 plus the 2 is 10, plus the 4 is 14, plus the 3 is 17. So how our Aul here now becomes 17. So this is the example here. We do another example. If there is a wife, 8 daughters, mother and father, what happens in this scenario? So wife will, revealing the answer, wife gets 1/8 because there's daughters. Daughters get 2/3. Mother gets 1/6 because there's daughters. Father, because there's daughters, gets a 1/6, and asaba, an agnatic shareholder. So we see that there's 1/8, plus there's group 2 as well. So we just use the 8, multiply by 3, get 24. So 1/8 of 24 is 3. 2/3 of 24 is 16. 1/6 of 24, actually we're giving out 2 each to the daughters first. 1/6 of 24 is 4. And 1/6 again of 24 is 4 for the father. So far we're going to give to him. We add it all up. 16 plus 4 is 20, plus another 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27. So our total is 27, already above the divisor. We've got nothing else to give to the father. So we cross out 24, and 27 is our Aul.